In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.
Welcome, everyone, to the Washington Football Team Preview Show brought to you by District Divided. I am your host, Amit, and my co-host, KDot, is here with me as always. KDot, 3-game win streak. How you feeling, bud?
Feeling really, really good about the 3-game win streak. But, like, with every week, taking it 1 week at a time. So you don't get too high, don't get too low. But I am feeling pretty good.
Oh, I mean, what's there not to feel good about right now? We just beat Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks this past Monday night. We never win on Monday night. Russell Wilson was 10-2 all time on Monday night. I feel so good about this team right now. And we've got a huge, huge game against the Las Vegas Raiders. So we're going to begin with a very, very quick overview on the Las Vegas Raiders season, which has been all over the place. So we're going to start there. Then we're going to get into the injury report, as we always do. Who's in, who's out. We're going to then talk about the Washington Football Team offense against the Las Vegas Raiders defense. Then we're going to flip the script. The Vegas Raiders offense, led by Derek Carr, against our Washington Football Team defense. And then we will conclude with our predictions for the game. So let's begin with those Las Vegas Raiders. And now I'm thinking about it, I wish we had James from ASOS on this podcast because I think he would have had a fun time with this. But KDot, the Las Vegas Raiders have been up and down. So they started the season off pretty well. They had nice wins early on, and then they lost a couple games, 3-2, when some emails leaked from our organization. Jon Gruden, head coach, who had like a 10-year, $100 million deal or something like that, ends up getting fired as a result. Then you got the incident with Henry Ruggs. And so we don't know, just for him, like Derek Carr said, he's there because he needs to be there for Derek Carr. Crazy situation with Henry Ruggs. And then Damon Arnette has a situation in their former first-round pick, and he got released 3 weeks ago. Yeah, there's a gun video out there. Insane. But they seem to have righted the ship a little bit. They had lost 3 in a row, and then they beat our beloved Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving. It was a beautiful sight. But amidst all the chaos, KDot, what do you make of this Las Vegas Raiders team?
Dangerous. I mean, that's the thing is that they, like you said, they've been up and down a lot this year. And I don't think anybody's kind of known exactly what it is they've had. I think with that 3-game losing streak they had coming off the bye, I think people were like, all right, this is what we think the Raiders are, right? And then you get the overtime win against the Cowboys, who on any given week, the Cowboys look really good, right? So it's like you're not sure with a large swath of the league this year. You're just not really sure what you're getting with anybody. I'm surprised the Raiders are still fighting or being into it. Like you said, all the shit that's happened off the field. I mean, you look at those 2 guys you named, Henry Ruggs and Damon Arnette, the 2 first-round picks that they have from 2020 are now gone. It's fucking nuts. The aspect that I look at from an intangible standpoint, or where it is they are from a mentality thing, because I think this would be the only time that we bring it up, is maybe the only thing I might be a little worried about as far as the Raiders when it comes to mentality are the players talking to John and they think maybe somebody in Washington assassinated his ass with the email thing, which might be something that they need to go and win this game for the old ball coach, right? So, like, I think that's the only thing I really concern myself with when it comes to them. That team, they've got so many pieces that look really, really good or decent at certain times. But then that same token, you have times where you look at him and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Derek Carr probably at the top of that list. There are guys in that defense that scare me, at least one dude in particular that scares the shit out of me. But once again, as a unit, they're up and down. Everything's kind of up and down. They're middle of the pack when it comes to a lot of this shit. And if I'm looking at their rankings, offensively, they get the ball down the field. Defensively, I mean, we'll break it down, but yeah, they can be scored on.
Yeah, they certainly can be scored on. And I mean, their last 3 games, they've been scored on a whole bunch. I think they rank last in the NFL in terms of points allowed. Now, granted, those last 3 games, Patrick Mahomes woke up and they put up 41 on this Raiders defense. And then, of course, Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon in particular had a huge game for the Cincinnati Bengals against Las Vegas Raiders. And then Dak, yes, he didn't have Amari. Yes, he didn't have CD, but it's a home game on Thanksgiving. They always put up points. They don't ever win. They've lost 3 in a row on Thanksgiving now. God bless those Cowboys. How about them Cowboys? But this team, again, up and down. They lost to the Bears, for example. They at home. They lost to the Giants. So we don't really know what to make of them so far. But as KDot said, we're going to break it all down for you. And so why don't we go ahead and jump into the injury report? Because for us in particular, we are very, very banged up. start with Landon Collins. He's going to be out for the game. And that's big because ever since he moved to this Buffalo hybrid, whatever the hell you want to call it, linebacking position, which he still insists he's a safety, he's been great there. I mean, he arguably Pro Bowl level. He's been fantastic in that position. Benjamin St. Juste goes on IR. You know, yes, he's a rookie. Yes, he gets beat sometimes, but he's very lanky and can make a play. So we're going to be missing him. Then we're missing JD McKissic. He had 2 touchdowns against Seattle. He looked great. Wendell Smallwood seems to be the specific replacement, not necessarily more Jared Patterson or Alex Arma, the fullback that we had signed. Expect Wendell Smallwood to have an impact in this game. And then Schweitzer, is out as well with Eric Flowers questionable. So the line is banged up. Brandon Scherff will play, but he's banged up. That's just the Washington football team. I hadn't even gotten to the Raiders, who are really just missing Carl Nassib. And, I mean, that's about it. Like, you know, Deshaun Jackson, questionable. Darren Waller, is doubtful, which is big. But overall, they are much more healthy than we are. KDot, what do you make of just the injuries in general? Do they concern you on our end?
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, absolutely. I don't look at the Raiders team and see any of the injuries being something that really terrifies us. I haven't seen a tight end really – I mean, unless I'm mistaken, I haven't really seen a tight end gashes for that much this year. Did Kelsey have a good game? I can't think of any. I can't think of anybody that really had anybody that went crazy when it's like Kyle Pitts, none of them. So, I mean, if I'm looking at that, yeah, they're Raiders, they're fine. Hitting on all cylinders. And I think that that's something that Washington's also going to come to terms with, is that we're not a healthy team right now, and we're going to face a lot of teams that are healthy. And you can even look at the last few weeks and say the same thing to a certain degree for us. But the injuries on our end, you're right. Landon Collins, I mean, I've been saying it repeatedly. I've been begging them to put him in that Buffalo linebacker hybrid role, but he's been playing true linebacker, basically. And he has looked like a Pro Bowler, and especially with the injuries to Montez and Chase Young on defense, having that speed that can kind of get on that outside. Because, look, I love Shaka Toney. I love James Smith. I love all the guys that we've been kind of having in and out of the rotation there, but they don't have the same level of speed that Landon Collins had. They don't have the same level of speed that Montez Sweat has or Chase Young does, which is why you see Landon Collins so in some of these plays and making great tackles and meeting people in the backfield. Without him there, that's a huge, huge knock. Because, I mean, right now, if you look at the Washington defense more than anything, we finally got into a groove. And I think the less things that happen to that defense, the more you're kind of worried that they'll get knocked out of it.
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. Landon Collins, for his up and down play, you know, more down at safety, more up at this hybrid position, he's still a leader, right? So having a leader make plays on the field and leading by example and with his words, both things is huge. So missing that on a West Coast trip is significant. No doubt about it. Very good point there, KDot.
But I will say the one person I'm probably going to miss more than anything else is JD McKissic.
JD, yeah.
That to me is a huge, huge hole. I love Jared Patterson. We're not asking him to catch the ball out of the backfield as much as just to run in between the tackles. Antonio Gibson has been good, especially, I mean, he had his best game last week, but a big portion of that is JD McKissic kind of spelling him. Now, once again, JD went out. Antonio looked good as the game went on, but I love the idea of having both of those guys in the backfield. Smallwood, anybody else kind of coming, that's cool, but if you look at the last 2 seasons, I'd argue that J.D. McKissic has been his top 3 receiving back out of in this league. I mean, you could maybe say top 2. Let's say top 3. Pure receiving back out of the field. And what he does as far as a change of pace with his speed, carrying that ball out of the backfield, you're going to miss that. And I think that that's one of those guys who've been supremely underrated for us as far as the way that we talk about it. He's not a big name, but he's definitely been productive.
Yeah, I mean, and actually the thing I was noticing on Monday night, I'd noticed it a little bit beforehand as well, but especially on Monday night, because he had probably his best game of the season with us. He can run between the tackles. Like, he is a legitimate running back. It's not just the pass catching that he brings. He can run between the tackles. He can shift around. His second touchdown was him being shifty, putting his hand on his lineman and then darting to the left, scoring that touchdown. Amazing game that he had. So, yes, he is also going to be a big miss. And then this offensive line being banged up. I mean, because this is an opportunity. Why don't we jump into the Washington football team offense against this Raiders defense? Because the Raiders normally on the ground get gashed. And on the season, they've been averaging 4.4 yards per carry allowed. But in their last 3.8 yards per carry, including a really nice game against the Dallas Cowboys where Tony Pollard, 10 carries, 36 yards, Zeke Elliott, 9 carries, 25. That's a team that likes to, as much as Dallas throws the ball, they pride themselves on running the ball, and they really weren't able to against the Raiders. Now, they've been lit up through the air. We had a game very similar to this with the Kansas City Chiefs when they came to town. They were dead last in just about every statistical category. It was all set up for Taylor Heineke to shine, and he fell apart. Right now, he's playing great, but it's because we're running the ball really, really well. So, KDot, I throw it to you. The Raiders more recently better against the run. Now, Joe Mixon just a couple weeks ago did well, but overall better against the run. Does that concern you, or do you think, hey, because of our playing style, right, with Antonio Gibson, with Jared Patterson, with Wendell Smallwood this week, no problem. We can still enforce our will and progress and allow Heineke to have the game he needs to have?
That goes to my JD McKissic thing, right? I don't know what the offense really looks like over the course of an entire game without him being able to spell Antonio. Because even look at 2 weeks ago when Antonio had the fumbling issue, McKissic took over, and he did a damn good job in that takeover role. So with Antonio, I still have the ball security issues. I don't know. But if he can build on what he did last week, I think they were in a good position. Now, if you're looking at the Raiders defense as far as against the run, I do think that this is our best opportunity we've had in a little bit to really run the football on somebody. Because as much as you say that they might have improved recently, I'm looking at the last 2 out of the last 4 games they've held their opponents to under 100 yards, right? So the Cowboys game where Mike McCarthy might as well be smoking crack rocks. Nobody knows what the fuck he was doing. Kellen Moore, same way. Some of the most overrated goddamn coaching staff in the league. Jesus, I mean, I guess people at least say they're coming to terms with Mike McCarthy sucks. But anybody talking about Kellen Moore, just watch that goddamn game last night. Holy shit. I don't know what he's doing. The fact that they're still running Zeke in that fucking offense is ridiculous because he's done. So you look at that, they got 64 yards because they don't know to go to Pollard enough. Then you look at the Kansas City Chiefs, 94 yards. They've got nobody in the backfield, right? But you look at Cincinnati Joe Mixon, rushing yards that they gave up for the day, 159. New York Giants, 149. Before the bye week, 135, 112, 143, 168, 133. The last time they held anybody was the Pittsburgh game in week 2 to under 39 yards, but it's fucking Pittsburgh, and they blow dick. So this is a team you can run on. This has got to be Antonio Gibson's, hey, I'm actually a running back. It's like a fucking Geppetto. I'm a real running back now. Like, do that, Antonio. Like, this is the first time we felt all year, oh shit, run between the tackles, Antonio motherfucking Gibson, right? You need that mentality. It's important to what it is we're doing on offense. What the long sustained drives we've been able to put together, the demoralizing drives, the time of possession is the thing that's been the absolute biggest feather in our caps recently, is how much we're able to control the ball. And that comes with that running game. It's come with the running game. It's come with Taylor Heineke making the right decisions where he needs to. But the running game has been the thing in which everything else is based off of for us. We found our identity as an offense. Can Antonio take the full workload? I don't know. Wendell Smallwood, we can say his name until we're blue in the fucking face. I got to see it. Because, I mean, I just remember him kind of being a bit of a just whatever. Just one of those guys that kind of is around as another body.
Call him a jag, just a guy. Right.
Right, just a guy. So, like, Jared Patterson, maybe I get more excited about him getting back into the fold. I haven't loved the way he's looked recently when he has carried the ball. Very much just kind of just bowling ball in one direction, not a lot of vision that I was seeing. But maybe that's his time to step up. But I think right now, more than anything, Antonio Gibson has to build off of what he did last week and keep it going. It's going to be hard to do with all the injuries we've had on the offensive line. You have Schweitzer now not going to play this week. I mean, we were on our 4th center going in that last
Ishmael there, yeah.
And once again, the offensive line, regardless of what's come their way, have done a phenomenal job, right? But the complementary of the running game with Taylor Heineke making the right decisions is the winning combo. We haven't blown any of these teams out. We're teams that we demoralize you, and as the fourth quarter runs on, we make that defense start giving up because they're just gassed. Yeah. We have to continue that track.
Okay, so it sounds like your key, if I'm reading that correctly, is stick to the game plan. Stick to your identity that you have found recently. Keep running.
You have to, right? Because, I mean, right at the end of the day, look, the playoffs start today. If the playoffs start today, we are in the playoffs. I challenge anyone to look through all those playoff teams and not say on paper Washington's the worst one. We are. Like, we are. But we've been finding a way to win these games. Playing stout defense, which we'll get into the defensive breakdown, and running the ball and having Taylor Heineke not make the mistakes. That's the winning combo. We are not going to be that. Look, as much as I want to see Taylor just lighten that fucking ball up in the air, without the complimentary run, the defense knows what they're doing. He's going to throw picks. Because, I mean, some of those balls, even when he throws it up to Terry, they're 50-50 balls. It just so happens that Terry's a bad motherfucker, right? But I know Ricky Seals-Jones, who's been the guy that took over for Logan all these weeks, he's questionable, I think, or doubtful even to play. I know that he was on the injury report to a certain degree this week. Logan Thomas getting back into the fold. He looked, I liked some of the plays I saw him do this last week. I just want to see him get more into the fold. But if you don't have the solid running game and you're asking Taylor to just drop back there and launch it, recipe for disaster to me as far as the Washington team offense.
Yeah, and just to clarify, like you had said, Ricky Seals-Jones is in fact questionable for this week. Now, we did get Logan Thomas back, which was, more than welcomed. It was great to have him back. Also forgot to mention that Curtis Samuel is also questionable. He did play Monday night. And thank you very much, Steve Smith, by the way, who went on 106.7 The Fan, basically called Curtis Samuel overpaid. Next thing you know, Curtis Samuel's practicing. So thank you very much for just sort of lighting a fire under him, because I guarantee you Curtis heard your words. And now we've got a guy we thought was left for dead this season. So I think he's going to end up playing in this game as well, since he played on Monday night. Now,
we'll see if he's on a snap count again.
He probably will be. I mean,
that's the thing. Real. He looks so explosive, even in these short amount of times. You're just automatically drawn to him, and he looks good. It's just whether or not we can get him for a full compliment. If we can't, I mean, I don't like us trotting him out there.
It's almost like how the Cowboys used Amari Cooper on Thursday night, where they had him on a snap count, but he still had that 41-yard catch. He still is able to open up the defense for CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup and stuff like that. So we could use Samuel. It doesn't necessarily mean he touches the ball, but he could still take the lid off at times. And he might actually be used more, now that I think about it, with JD McKissic out. This is a really good opportunity for him if his groin holds up.
I'd agree with that. The only thing I'd say right now is that even watching the game, watching the Washington football team on offense, depending on what the personnel is, it very, very much telegraphs exactly what's about to happen. If Curtis Samuels is on the field, you're expecting either an end around to him or he's going to catch a screen. They don't have him running routes, really. And then outside of that, you have anytime Sammis Reyes is in, count it. It's a run. If they're going to get Curtis involved and have him actually be the weapon that we need him to actually run some out routes, and some of the balls got to get thrown his way. Otherwise, I just think that right now, once you see him, the defense knows, stack that fucking box, look out for stuff on the edge. That's what they're going to use Curtis for.
And you know what? I'm sorry, just to go back to the injury report, because it went sort of under the radar. Joey Sly's out for at least 3 weeks because he pulled a hamstring trying to chase down Raheem Green on the block kick. So one of the longest lists we've had in a long, long time. Chase Young, of course, still out on IR. He's out for the season. Montez Sweat could come back pretty soon, but he's still on IR. Chase Rouhier is on IR as well. Jesus Christ. Just saying all this out loud is insane. Brian Johnson's going to be the kicker this week. I just wanted to quickly add that Heineke has been fantastic. I mean, sticking to this identity, you literally took it off the page for me. That is my key to the game, as well as tempting as it's going to be to just want to throw all over the Raiders, because you look at their numbers in the last 3 weeks and they're dead last in all passing categories. I think that's a trap. I think if you decide to start airing it out and you abandon your run game, you are missing the opportunity for Antonio Gibson to have a Joe Mixon-like game where he goes for 23, 130, and 2 touchdowns. And imposes his will, and we establish that time of possession on the Raiders, because the Raiders, if you give them time of possession and they get in rhythm, Derek Carr is one of the best. He really is. You don't know which one you're going to get, but if he's off the field, you don't have to wonder too much. He probably won't have a great game. So you have to control the clock, and that means sticking with the run. I know they're giving up 3.8 yards per carry recently. Fuck it. Keep running. Up that number for them, because I don't think they can actually handle us for the whole game. So we agree on offense. Now let's flip the script. Our defense against the Raiders offense. KDot, just your initial reaction to it. What do you have?
Scary. There's one thing if you tell me that we're missing Montez Sweat and Chase Young. We've been missing them and we've still been performing, right? But I think that the biggest thing on that defense is people talking this week. This is a little sidebar. People talking about this week is, well, the Washington defense looks so much better without Montez and Chase. You're a fucking idiot. The defense will look that much better with them. The big difference as far as what's happening on the defense is that now they're gelling. And number one, the secondary is finally starting to play correctly. We found the correct lineup to have in the secondary. Moving Danny Johnson out there to slot, taking Fuller, putting him back out there on the outside with William Jackson. Brandon St. Juste, who I have liked, has been a bit of a liability in coverage, and he hasn't played or had any snaps the last couple weeks, and we've looked good as far as the defense. Cam Curl, look, anybody that says Jeremy Chin, last year when everybody was on this Jeremy Chin over bullshit as far as defense rookie, I was like, have you seen Cam Curl's numbers? It was just, Cam Curl looks great. There are certain things that we're doing on defense that look amazing, but once again, I'm looking at these injuries. Landon Collins has been a revelation at that linebacker position. Without him there, I think you're really, really missing something. And like always, a big key to the Washington defense, especially the front four, is not necessarily you having to get the sacks, even though you'd like them. It's hitting the shit out of the quarterback. Like even Russell Wilson, who doesn't necessarily look the same and still dealing with the issue with his finger, he never looked settled in the pocket. We never gave him an opportunity to look settled. We did enough as far as getting pressure and getting our hands on him that he could never – everything was either high or low, or he just looked rush in everything he was doing, right? We need to do the exact same thing with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is another dude that, like, if you let him sit back there, he's got weapons. What scares Washington is getting beat over the fucking top. Henry Ruggs, Deshaun Jackson, they will beat your ass over the top. I think Ruggs is like 19 yards average like per reception.
Are you talking about Brian Edwards? I just want to make sure.
I don't know who we're talking about. What?
Well, you had said Ruggs and Jackson. Ruggs obviously not playing. Deshaun Jackson certainly will burn you.
Sorry, my bad. Yeah, Jackson.
Yeah.
Jackson is taken over for Ruggs.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right.
Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure that was clear.
I saw the stats as far as what Ruggs was doing over the air. He's out. Everybody knows what's happened to him, right? But yeah, between him and Edwards, Brian Edwards, who I've heard a couple people mistakenly call him Braylon Edwards, is just hilarious to me because that's just a name I haven't heard forever. But those are guys that they're burners. They can beat you over the top, and especially if you give Derek Carr enough time to do so. That's why I've liked what they've been doing as far as getting Landon Collins in there, getting some pressures. We've been seeing seeing them take some of the corners or safeties and bringing them down there and bring pressure recently. Without Landon, that speed at the linebacker position, without him being there, are we still going to be able to generate the pressure we have in the last few weeks? That concerns me. The running game has been something that we've been good at all year. I'm not worried about that. Kenyon Drake, Josh Jacobs, whoever it is they have in the backfield doesn't scare me. Not when it comes to this offense and who I've seen us come up against all year long, and no one's been able to just put it together and just beat us that way. I think it all comes down to, does the secondary continue to hold up, and can that front seven get the pressure there on the quarterback? All this looks like simple shit. I feel like I'm sounding like Booger McFarlane right now, giving fucking football info, which is just like not illuminating at all or enlightening at all. But you got to keep it simple, especially right now. The recipe for what it is that we've been having success on, you just got to keep it going. It's the recipe for success. It's just what it is.
Yeah, I also think just if you're not getting pressure with four, sometimes if you're not getting pressure with four, depending on who your quarterback is that you're going up against, that can be okay sometimes. Against a guy like Derek Carr, it's not. So if you need to roll the dice, I'm willing to do that this week. I would say send 5, send 6, send 7 if you have to, just to limit the amount of time our secondary spends in coverage. Because, again, missing the speed of Landon Collins, huge. And I think Jamin Davis is going to have himself probably the best day of his career. Absolutely. Because of that loss. So it's so important that we make sure Derek Carr is not in a rhythm, more so than other quarterbacks we've played recently, because I totally trust our run defense. I am not concerned, and it feels so nice to say that. I'm not concerned about Josh Jacobs. I'm not concerned about Kenyon Drake. Kenyon Drake a little bit out of the backfield if they were to just sort of almost their McKissic, if you will. Like he gets some catches out of the backfield. But overall, Deshaun Jackson scares me because if Darren Waller's out, I think that means more reps for Deshaun Jackson to take him over the top, and make sure you do whatever you can. I would double Hunter Renfrow, knowing that Darren Waller's out, because Carr looks for him so much. He had at least 10 targets. He has so many targets on the year. It's crazy. Like Hunter Renfrow was a guy, Deshaun Watson's like 5th option at Clemson, and then eventually his 3rd, whatever. But like, he's dangerous. He is incredibly, incredibly dangerous. I would try and take him away and force a Bryan Edwards, who sometimes puts up goose eggs as a stat line, to beat you. That's what I would hope for. Because the Raiders, while they're talented, they are missing Darren Waller, and I think that's a huge, huge, huge piece of their offense. Fabian Moreau steps in. He's had a couple nice games. But overall, no Darren Waller. I think this is a golden opportunity. Attack, attack, attack. I would not be conservative in this game, especially with Landon Collins out.
I agree. I mean, that's the thing is when you know the run defense has been stout enough, it should allow you to take some chances, right? So that's my hope is that we are able to do it. Because right now I was actually looking through the rushing yards that we've given up. And you can honestly say the only person that has actually terrified us in the running game this entire year was Daniel fucking Jones in week 2. Like it's like I'm looking at it, that's the most rushing yards we've given up all year, and it was because of Daniel Jones. Yeah, we're in a good position. I mean, to play the things that we do on defense, but then it goes to stuff that I've talked about even very early on the season, which is that you had an offense and a defense that were not playing complementary football. Right now, one of the best things that's happened to that defense is how fresh they've been able to be on defense because of what Washington's been doing offensively as far as keeping that time possession. When we do go out there on defense, those guys are ready. They're dogs. They're ready to go out there and hit and to do crazy shit. And they're on the sideline. You can see them on the sideline. Every time the camera pans over, they're keeping each other hyped. And they're loving seeing what it is they're seeing on offense. That's another reason I fucking love Taylor Heineke is that even throughout the play of what he does, you see the guys on defense haven't checked out. They're right there, and they're completely enthralled with what he's doing. And when they see these long drives, they can't wait to get back out there on the field. But we have to continue to do this. The offense and what it is they're doing with the time of possession matters so much to keeping that defense fresh so they can attack with that front 4 and have the secondary play well.
And it has to be said, there are 2 things that happen with the time of possession. 1, it keeps the other offense off the field. But 2, it gives our defense that is a bit limited right now, right? We're missing some superstars on there. Yep. The rest they need to be able to take care of that offense once they do step on the field. So that's why I really like Heineke specifically over Fitzpatrick right now, because he is using his legs to extend drives as well. And that, that little duck he did to escape that sack against Seattle.
Like, once a game.
Right now, Heineke's playing at a fantastic level. I hope he continues it. Good points all around. So I'm saying roll the dice. Sounds like you agree there on the defensive side. Go ahead, roll the dice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm for an aggressive defense. I always will be. Anytime that I see people complain about, why the fuck did they have him at cover 0 on 3rd down in the fourth quarter? Dude, if you're a blitzing team, blitz. Shit, they'll complain when it doesn't work, but majority of the time, you know what it does? It fucking works. If you make it your identity, do not let the offense dictate what it is you're going to do. Bring it to them. I do know that when you have a Chase Young and a Montez Sweat on the field, you can do that a lot easier than without them. But we've been doing a good job, and these guys have done a good job stepping up. But a lot of that has been because the offense is keeping it fresh. And if the offense is keeping it fresh and those guys can run, then fuck yeah, get after the quarterback. Take advantage. Take advantage of those opportunities. If you guys are ready to go, then go. Hit his ass.
There you go. You heard it from both of us. So now that concludes just the breakdowns of both sides of the ball, the injury report. We went through the Vegas Raiders overview. It's prediction time. So, KDot, here's the line. Vegas is favored by 1.5 points. The over-under is 49.5. I want, as always, your score and winner, please. Floor is yours.
I got the under. Or you said 49, right?
49.5. That's right.
Yeah, I got the under. Like, some of these games recently, while we've won, they've looked kind of ugly. And if I'm looking at, we would have gotten the over in a couple of these. This feels like a trap. Being completely honest, this feels like a big time trap. This was a game that actually I was supposed to be in Vegas for before COVID and everything just put a kibosh on like everything. My buddy James, who does the ASOS podcast, we were supposed to be doing his bachelor party this week in Vegas and going to the football game. And that even back then I had a bad omen. I just had a bad feeling about this game. And I feel as though the Gruden emails even put more in it. I just feel like something's gonna happen.
That's such an interesting storyline that you brought into that it didn't even strike me.
I've been thinking about it all week. I've been thinking about it all week. I'm like, Gruden's been talking to some of these boys, and if there's anybody that he blames, if there's anyone that he could blame even a modicum as much as he does Goodell in the front office, it's Washington. How the fuck y'all let the emails go? Cocksucker. Like, and why am I the only one that got burnt? Like, if I'm John and I'm blaming Washington for it, I'm talking to some of these guys like, hey, go win this fucking game for me. As John sits back at home eating fucking Hooters wings, hoping they beat the shit out of Washington. That being said, I'm gonna have more faith in that. I think this team after the bye week, the turning moment to me was the Chase Young halftime speech, after he got hurt. Same thing he did last year. Gave a halftime speech and changed the entire course of the team. People sleep on that. I think we continue on this run to make it into the playoffs, and this is the game that we don't need, but I want us to have going into these division games, especially with Dallas winning. So that's what I'm going. I'm going off of hope. I think this could be another ugly game, as they have been recently, especially without JD McKissic being there. But give me Washington 20, Vegas 17.
Okay,
Washington,
close game. Definitely a close game. And it means Brian Johnson, new kicker, goes to work a little bit. Washington 20, Vegas 17 is what KDot has. I also have the under. So I was looking at this game for quite some time. Vegas 1.5 actually seems low to me. I thought Vegas would have been favored by a bit more. We're going to the West Coast. Vegas had 10 days to prepare for this game. We had 6. We are very banged up. They are not. And because of that, and it's because of the people we're missing. So JD McKissic, this fan base knows, but nationally, they're not quite hip with him. You know, they don't understand just how important JD McKissic is to this offense. Wes Schweitzer said it right this time on the first try. So important to this offense as well. And Landon Collins. I mean, again, Jekyll and Hyde, night and day. We were trying to run him out of town. I'll be the first to admit that through the first 2-3 weeks of this season. And we were talking about the offseason and stuff like that before he moved to linebacker, where he was just sensational.
I wasn't. I just wanted to move to linebacker.
Okay. That's fair. Well, we had mentioned it, but the idea being if he continued at safety.
Oh, yeah.
With Jack Del Rio.
Get the fuck out of here.
We were like, get out. Get out. But, right. We correct. I think this is a bit too much to overcome. This trap for me is a bit too much. I have Vegas 23, sort of a weird thing, but Vegas 23, Washington 17. So I do think we end up losing 23-17, but I would not be surprised to see us win. I give us about a 40% chance of winning. That's where I would put it at.
I don't think that's wrong. If it happened that way, I completely understand. It feels like a trap. Also, just for clarification, I do not have a field goal in this game. I got 3 touchdowns and 1 missed extra point. That's I love it. Just to clarify. Okay. I think the kicking thing might be an issue. I don't trust that right now. Plus, the Joey Slye kick, that shit was so low. God damn it, you can't kick a ball that low.
Low and left.
Yeah, it was
directional. It was like, dude.
And I've liked Joey Slye recently. I thought he's been good, and this is a guy that I think could be on the team for a long time and develops with us and ends up being our kicker. That was not good.
He's also terrific on social media. I don't know if you follow that at all. When we went to Carolina, when we went to Carolina, he posted after we won, "I'm back." He did that on his social media, and then trying to run down Raheem Green, he said, "Well, I tried to, right in front of DK Metcalf, pull a DK Metcalf and run a guy down, and I pulled a hamstring." So he is hilarious.
I saw at one point, I think Washington decided they were going to go for it on 4th down, and he was on the sideline, and they panned to him, and it was only a brief moment, but he looked pissed. And that's what I want to see in my kicker. It's like, no, fuck that. Put me in. I'm going to make the goddamn kick. I like this Joey Slye dude. I still think it was a mistake, but that's how, whatever. Joey Slye, I think he's going to be the guy. I do think that, look, man, even the more I think about it, the more I want to change my prediction. Like, no JD, no Chase, no Montez, no Landon. We shouldn't win this game. But I also thought we should have never, with that Tampa Bay game.
Okay.
Didn't make no goddamn sense.
Right.
The Carolina game made a little more sense to me. Still thought,
you had that one.
The Seattle game, I mean, Russ might still be broke, so I'm not 100% sure there. But this is also Monday night. You saw the stadium. I saw the stadium. Shit looks sad as hell. I didn't think we would win that. This might be one of those things where we just stumbling right through. I just feel like right now after the bye, like it's been the last few times we go on a run. It doesn't make sense, but we just do it. Yeah. I have to have faith that that's the case right now.
Last question for you. So Dallas won last night. Thursday night. So this is being uploaded Saturday. The question I have for you is, so it's clear if we win out, we win the division because that gives Dallas 2 extra losses. We would finish at 11-6, which would be absurd. So do I see us winning out? No, that's why I'm even picking this. It's just because it doesn't make sense to me. Do you think this is a must-win game? It's important, obviously, but is it must-win? This also, based on my prediction, we would go 0-4 against the AFC East. Or AFC West, excuse me.
I want to say no, because I kind of alluded to it a little bit just a while ago, where it was like, I don't think this is a must-win, but I think it's important. I think it's 100%. Extremely important. 100%. I think that this is also a game that if we win in the way that we win, continues the momentum. And that, to me, is the most important thing right now, is to keep the momentum going. We don't want to lose in a way in which it demoralizes the team going into 5 divisional opponents and being like, oh, shit. That, to me, is a recipe for disaster. If we stink it up against Vegas right now, and then you've got Dallas the next week, Philadelphia the next week, Dallas again, no, we've got to hang our hat on something, right? So, like, that to me is – so while I don't think technically it's a must-win, I find it hard to think that we could lose this game and continue with the momentum that we have had. I don't know what would be the spark the following week that wakes this team up.
Well, I mean, how about getting Landon and JD back?
That would help. I mean, once again, it goes into how it is that we win or lose this game, right? Like if it's a demoralizing loss.
I think Montez could come back too. I'm not sure he is on track for it. I need to double check, but that would be big.
So I think it has less to do with who wins or loses this game compared to how it happens. If it's an embarrassment, to be hard even with the guys coming back to get everybody riled up. I think that this is a team that plays very much on momentum. And the way that we run things, especially on that defense, is very momentum. And on offense, it's just after that bye week, after that Chase Young halftime speech, because we've been on a roll. And I want to continue to do that. And I don't need any speed bumps in the way of that, because we don't have enough healthy guys to really overlook certain things. Or we can't let certain opportunities pass us. And I don't think if I'm looking at those 5 division games, it's hard for me to think that we're going to win all 5. But I think that you could lose a game on a fluke and not feel terrible about losing it.
And tell you what, you'd feel so much better if we were to win this game in Vegas. So let's hope that we do. Once again, KDot has predicted that Washington 20, Vegas 17. I have Vegas winning 23-17. But just like with the Carolina game, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope KDot is right, and that's exactly what happened. So let's see if it happens again. But thank you guys so much for listening. This was the Washington Football Team Preview Show brought to you by District Divided. I am Amit. That is KDot. We are with you every week. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy the game Sunday, and let's hope for a victory Monday. Take it easy.